Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second episode of BritWres is Dead and We Killed Her. It's a conversational and interview podcast about the world of professional wrestling, indie, corporate, just wrestling as a whole. And every time I'm going to get an esteemed guest from the world of professional wrestling and a good close friend, and we'll just have a chat. Today, I'm joined by my good friend
Michael Shearer.
Michael Hayden.
No bad, aye. Been enjoying the week of wrestling. It's been one of the best weeks of the year.
Yeah, we are now on the Wednesday after the Royal Rumble, and what a show.
Probably the best Rumble I've seen in years and one of the best Raws.
Oh, it was unreal. So, like I said, I've got a couple of questions that I just want to ask everyone when it's the first time on. So first of all, what's your first, your earliest memory of wrestling?
Randy Orton punting Stephanie McMahon.
That's fair enough. And then, I guess, the follow-up question is, when did you realise, you were, in love with wrestling? It wasn't just, something you liked watching?
Probably 3 years ago when I was 16 and I was still watching wrestling, and most of my friends were embarrassed to even speak about it.
You're in.
The addiction's probably got worse, because I used to just watch WWE then, but now I watch WWE, TNA, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan. I'm more addicted than ever.
I know, it's crazy. And that kind of leads us on, I guess, to the topic of the episode. And you listened to the first episode, I had a lot of fun, but it was just a sort of get the feelers out, work out what we're doing, just a general conversation episode. And from now on, I want to have a specific topic every week. And this week is social media and the internet and wrestling. It's like what you said, earlier on, we didn't really know there was anything else out there. Now you turn on YouTube and you watch What Culture at the time is what got me really into indie wrestling, because I was hearing all these people talk about. Well, before that actually, watching NXT got me into indie wrestling. These guys are class. What were they doing before? And then I found Kevin Steen, I found Prince Devitt, I found Kenta, stuff like that. But the thing that really set me off was What Culture and WCPW, and obviously they had a big role and a massive platform on the internet, and that's what really gave a lot of people their door into indie wrestling. So it's crazy how much more accessible it is now.
I think What Culture really did peak then, because they had the best shows in the world by far. I think that even helped Cody Rhodes to get to where he is now, and other wrestlers like the Bucks and that. Obviously, they had the best indie wrestlers in the world, and they were combining it with one of the most popular YouTube channels, and also a lot of the members of the YouTube channel, they were even performing in matches and were world renowned. Because
it was the thing is where it was at that time the top indie company in the world, and I don't think many people can dispute that. And you had still one of my favourite matches of all time on WCPW. It was Will Ospreay and Martin Kirby, the first one that they'd had. And obviously the guys from What Culture moved on to start Cultaholic, and that sort of apparently it was always the plan to phase them out of the product and make it Defiant Wrestling in the end, but they just needed that sort of initial boost to get the ratings up. But I think that was also a big downfall for us when they moved on. I guess it just sort of goes to show I still watched it sometimes and the shows were class, but just didn't really have the same.
It's definitely lost something.
Like I said, social media and wrestling is,
it can either work in your favour or work against.
Exactly.
People like him and Matt Riddle are two examples of how it works completely against you.
I think more important, bigger than Matt Riddle, you've got Seth Rollins. They had it all. We had it because he won at Mania, he won at WrestleMania, and he was the person that finally unseated Brock, and everyone was so happy. And then he just went on Twitter and was a massive idiot. He was so ignorant and so rude to other wrestlers who were just trying to have a bit of banter with him. Did you see his recent scandal?
No, what happened?
So his mate, I don't know how this is a real thing, because of Seth Rollins' history, it's real. You don't even question it. His mate is starting a coffee company, with a spooky metal alt coffee company, and he was like, okay, I'm going to post some spooky images on my story, and then at the end put a link to my friend's coffee company and promote my friend's business, which is a great thing that he's doing. Mm-hmm. But he posted a photo of witches, but the photo wasn't of witches. He saw pointy hats and thought, oh, that's witches. He put a photo of the KKK up on his Instagram story, didn't realise what it was, because he doesn't know anything about the KKK, and just without any context, because this was before obviously people saw that, he just out of nowhere posted a photo of the KKK on his Instagram story. It's
WWE really have stood by Seth Rollins. There's been so many controversies.
It's like Kobe Lopez, great professional wrestler, but he's just an idiot, man. He just needs to hire a social media manager. He really does.
He really does.
And I hate that, because you know, there was the stories that came out a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
or maybe a year ago, that WWE wanted all their performers' passwords to their social medias.
I wouldn't like Vince McMahon seeing what Seth Rollins is putting on social media.
But I remember like hearing that story, and I just remember like like an obvious outroar, like a justifiable outroar. But at the same time, you're like, Seth, just you slide yours in so they can do any damage control, because like all your tweets, just draft them and tell someone you're thinking about tweeting, even if it's for promoting a match you're in. Just let someone know you're thinking about tweeting.
See, when you compare Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, the heat they get.
No,
Roman Reigns really keeps himself to himself. He doesn't really do it in the social media that's going to cause any controversy. But Seth Rollins has been in a minimum 4 controversies of what he's done.
Really.
And WWE have stood by him and even still pushed him. But
You know, I think it just sort of goes to, I guess, now, like with what his character is now, if he could knuckle down on the MJF level of commitment, and just, you know, be really ignorant on Twitter, it would work, I guess, in a character sense. But when he was like meant to be white hot babyface and everyone's meant to be cheering him, and he turns around to Will Ospreay, he's like, haha, you're poor, no one watches New Japan. You're like, no one watches Raw either. Raw is tanking.
Raw was dead at the time. I suppose that this week is probably done better due to the Edge and the last hour. I'm sure that the ratings will obviously go down a slight bit, but I think they won't go as down as they've went through in the past.
I think as well, there's a definite thing to be said about, because the excitement levels for Raw, and this kind of bring it into the social media thing, with the YouTube clips, which always consistently outdraw the show. So you can just go on, you can be like, what did I miss last night? Oh, here's 3 minutes of like Aleister Black and I was going to say Buddy Murphy, because they all, when they seem to wrestle each other,
They've wrestled each other a few times this year, haven't they?
They're class, they're so good, so I don't really care. It's like, so do you remember at the start of last year when Rey Mysterio and Andrade were having that series, and it was like they were wrestling every week in a different sort of, like, they were just having like 20-minute bangers every single week. I wouldn't mind if Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black did that, because I love them, but you can go on YouTube and you can see what you miss. Lana like throws shoes at Rusev. Oh, I don't care about that. But as well, it's the fact they announce everything beforehand. There's no more, with the exception of the Royal Rumble, there's no real surprises in wrestling anymore. The Royal Rumble and the night after Mania, because John Morrison's return was announced on.
It's that YouTube show, isn't it? It's hosted by.
I think it was announced on Backstage, and then he returned on the bump.
Aye, the bump. That was where his like first appearance back, and that wasn't very exciting at all.
The way you do that is, do you remember the segment a couple of weeks ago where someone chapped him at his door, and then he walked out the door and was all, listen, he's not in the mood to talk right now, he's focusing. That's how you read Davey Morrison. You don't, like, obviously, if you read the dirt sheets, you've heard the stories, you've heard the rumours, and the reports that Morrison drew.
But you choose to do that, like that's somebody's choice to do that himself.
But at the same time, a massive return like Morrison, and I know that Vince doesn't see him as a big star,
but he's proved himself. Basically every other wrestling promotion he could.
But it's no a wrestling company to Vince. It's entertainment. So they used to put out casting calls like a movie. So obviously, you know, it's not problematic in Hollywood if you say, look, we're looking for this specific type of person for this role, because that's the way you've envisioned the role. Well, when Vince used to think of characters, he would put out casting calls for like models or like ex NFL players, just people who are in decent shape. But then it would be like 20 to 25, 6'2 to 6'5. Indian, and then like all these, you know, people come for that because that was the character that Vince was looking to cast. So it's not about like the wrestling for him.
Morrison would be better used in NXT, let's be honest.
If Morrison went back to NXT, can you imagine the match you'd get if Morrison was in NXT with
Morrison and Balor? That would be brilliant.
I don't know why that never came to mind first. The first thing that came to mind for me was Shane Strickland. Oh, what's his name in NXT? Shane Strickland. Isaiah Scott. Morrison and Swerve would be class. But I think, you know, a sort of over indulgence of content that the WWE throw at us is quite detrimental to the product, if that makes sense. You know, telling us that a big massive return after 9 years?
9 years.
9 years, yeah. You know, maybe they knew the Edge was going to come back and that's the more monumental 9-year return. But, you know, spoiling that on, you know, these two out of, and I get that Fox want a lot of like exclusives and a lot of stuff on Backstage, but I don't know, it just seems weird, do you know what I mean?
Definitely. I think the biggest highlight of Raw was Randy Orton, to be honest. I feel like he stole the end of the show. That's Randy Orton at his best. See the way he sells it? At the beginning, he hints that he's going to do it, but he doesn't do it, and then just the way he reacts to it. See the crowd reaction as well. It's like, when has WWE saw a crowd reaction like that? It's been a very long time.
I think the last time I can remember something like that like to that level where like no one saw it coming, but everyone also saw it coming, was the night that Roman Reigns had to leave because of his leukemia.
Definitely.
And when Dean Ambrose turned on Seth, because I remember watching that Raw because I seen someone tweet. I was on Twitter and I seen someone tweet, "Why is Roman dressed like he's relinquishing the title?" And I went on and I was like, "Oh, he's in jeans and a t-shirt and his hair isn't soaking wet, so what is up?" And then I seen that and I was like, "Well, I need to watch Raw now." Kept watching, very, very good episode of Raw. But I remember at the end, I just remember halfway through and I was like, if they don't turn Ambrose heel now, like they've been teasing for months, they've missed the perfect opportunity, because yeah, it might have a lot of impact down the line, but doing it now will be the best. But I think like that's the last time we've seen a crowd reaction like that, and I do think it is because WWE sort of
I think it's when they blur the lines. See how when they blur the lines, and it's like the fans know Edge's legitimately had a neck injury, and then Randy Orton's hitting him with a chair on his neck. They legit feel it, and it just blurs the lines, and the fans just it brings out inner emotion in them that they wouldn't have for any other storyline. To be honest.
Here's my question: do you think that wrestling was better back in the day? And by back in the day, it can be, I just mean essentially before Twitter and before social media. Because there was a very good point raised by Darius Lockhart on was he? Can't remember. I don't know if he was either Indie Till Infinity or just the main We the Independent podcast. I think it was just the main We the Indie. But he raised a very good point on that. It was just after Kofi and Brock on the first episode of SmackDown, and he was like, "Yeah, it's not great, but at the same time, who's to say this isn't going anywhere?" Now we know it's definitely not going anywhere, but he basically said, "Can you imagine the reaction on Twitter the first time that McMahon cost Austin the title?"
I get exactly what you mean. I suppose social media it hinders wrestling and it helps wrestling. It really just depends like what examples you're going to look at.
Yeah, because I do think that, you know, having the ability to go online and talk to people and sort of vent your frustrations and see other people who feel the same way, or talk to other people and like sort of see all these like wee things that you've missed is great, and it can help you.
It definitely helps, like when you see like what Dave Meltzer's putting it and Brian Alvarez, there's like slight wee things that I wouldn't notice, and then when I see it on Twitter and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, you know exactly what I mean.
But I think at the same time as well, it can be a hindrance, like because you have
definitely because wrestlers also have to keep in character 24/7 basically. Well, if they choose to, but which they probably should. And like, look at Seth Rollins, how you were talking about earlier. It goes from being a face in WWE to being a heel in real life, and then the fans just see him as a heel completely. Yeah,
because especially as well, like if you are, you know, even if you're not really tapped into the whole world of indie wrestling, and you've probably got a Twitter, you know, if you're a WWE fan, you probably follow Seth Rollins, and then you go on Twitter and Instagram and you just see Seth Rollins putting his foot in his mouth over and over and over again. It can get a bit frustrating when you then turn on the TV every week and he's the fighting good guy, and he's overcoming all the odds, and he's doing it for the working man, and then he's slagging off Will Ospreay for being apparently poor.
He's slagging off somebody else for working very hard and a much harder schedule, and a lot and less money for, even though he's performing better matches than Seth Rollins week in, week out.
I think as well, what's your opinion on, I can't remember who said it, or who, I can't even remember the name of the thing they said, but basically someone essentially said that gifs are ruining wrestling, because a lot of people want a gif that'll blow up instead of like a big, like amazingly built, well paced match. Someone wants that big high spot that people will retweet and go, "Oh, this guy's class," as opposed to, I guess the prime example is Cody and Dustin from All Out. Double or Nothing. Sorry.
I'm sure there was a gif of Becky Lynch, and that went very big as well. And people said there was a coincidence with that and her getting pushed because it went really big on Twitter.
Or was it the one of her which had her face all broken, just stood on?
Just walking about and no caring.
Becky Lynch is, honestly, if we want to talk about Seth Rollins using Twitter in the worst way possible,
she uses it in the best.
Becky, because obviously they're engaged now. Becky, just take over your man's phone. Just you know what to do.
He is everything she isn't, and she is everything he isn't.
She is just incredible. Do you remember just after WrestleMania last year when Charlotte left for a dental emergency? That's what the WWE said, and then she came back with a much larger chest than she left with. So Charlotte left for 3 months apparently to get a tooth fixed, but she definitely got a boob job in that time.
Vince McMahon was definitely involved in that somehow.
Paid for it out of his own pocket. And Becky Lynch, it was just after she turned heel, tweeted a photo of Charlotte before she left, and Charlotte when she came back and just tweeted the tweet, just one word, and it was teeth. She's so good.
That's the best of wrestling, when you blur the lines.
Yeah, she's incredible. But I think as well, you've got to look at with social media, it's a great way as well for sort of less recognised. I get back to the sort of point
Definitely
of the gift thing as well, for less recognised talent to get themselves to a different place, and as well.
Look at people like Grado.
And Mustafa Ali as well.
Who was the other one at what'd you call it? ICW that got himself Joe Hendry. Look how much Joe Hendry's pushed himself. It definitely helps some wrestlers.
And to tease a later guest as well, you got Rory Coyle, who is fantastic at just making these videos to get himself over. David Starr as well, and like all the promos that he shoots with James Musselwhite are incredible.
I think it's a slightly different generation, like Seth Rollins. Like, obviously when he started wrestling, social media wasn't as big. But obviously people like Joe Hendry and Grado have literally been here the whole time in wrestling since social media has been big. So they know how to better deal with it. But Seth Rollins is a wee bit older, and like he's been wrestling when there's been no social media, and he's never had that problem.
I don't know, I feel bad dumping on Seth Rollins because I met him and he was really, really nice. But he also just kind of needs to, if he is going to tweet something and he's angry about something or he's fired up about something, just put his phone down for 5 minutes.
Run it by Becky, that's what he needs
just
to do.
Go and get him, I was going to say go and get himself a coffee, that would probably fire him up. Go and like drink a glass of water, do some push-ups, get all the frustration out, and then come back and look at it and go, do I really still need to tweet this?
You can say that about a lot of wrestlers, I suppose, but Seth Rollins does take it to a really another level.
No, I do think though that obviously the internet and the way it's impacted wrestling has been on the large good. From my own personal experience, I would never have found David Starr, Will Ospreay, Keith Lee. I would have found Keith Lee eventually because he came to WWE. But like David Starr, Will Ospreay, like Schadenfreude, all these like indie guys that I find unbelievable because of the internet. If we didn't have the internet and we didn't have social media, I mean, who's to even say if we didn't have the internet and social media and it was still just work hard at these indies and then come to developmental.
I wouldn't know most of the stuff I know. At least listening to Brian Alvarez, Dave Meltzer, what they're reporting, and also like just more in details about wrestling. Like there's things we want to know that we obviously can't see, and other people are able to see and tell us about.
But you have to think as well: would the WWE look the same way without it, or would they still be hiring big men first and training them how to wrestle? Would we have a Keith Lee or a Ricochet or Io Shirai?
Nah.
Without, I mean, obviously their talent's incredible, and the cream will rise to the top, and they are, some of the best wrestlers in the world. But you have to look at like the Performance Center right now. The Performance Center right now is essentially every single person. When I got into indie wrestling, that I was like, basically like, do you watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know when Charlie's doing the board in the mailroom looking for Pepe Sylvia? The NXT right now is like all these people I was like obsessed with. I was like, look at him, just drawing like a board of all these people I love, basically.
I suppose WWE's been trying their best to get the more independent wrestling fans. They really have been they've basically run most promotions and tried to steal them. And they've been successful in most.
See, I think as well, Triple H was being interviewed about NXT UK, and he was asked by the journalist what he makes of the claims that he's like killing off the independent scene, and he basically said us coming in has caused a couple of companies to fold, and that's obviously going to happen when, and right enough, because these guys now who may have been working for maybe £100, they now are like in WWE.
They earning a lot more than £100.
But yeah, but for like their own personal like business standpoint, if they're in WWE, they can't still value themselves as they did as the indie guy, if that makes sense. But what he said is basically the companies that we have sort of weeded out are like the ones who don't do their business right. I've heard reports of a few companies shutting down, but these were companies that say, "Oh, we'll pay you next time. We'll pay you with this." But then it also came out through, look at David Starr, who's like my favourite wrestler, talking about the stuff with Evolve and Gabe Sapolsky and how Gabe doesn't pay or used to not pay a lot of his workers.
I suppose that kind of culture's changed with independence. Like AEW's completely changed it, and the rest of the independents are going. I know they have to adapt. Look at Ring of Honor. That contract they signed with Marty Skrull. How much is he on?
I don't know, but he's on. So Matt Taven signed a deal last year, which was the most lucrative deal in the company history, and he was making more than anyone in NXT. but I don't know if he signed that before or after the move to USA. But according to like ACH, when he was there, he didn't receive a pay rise when they went to USA. Only like the Undisputed Era, Gargano, Ciampa, only like those people received a pay rise when they went to USA. But like I said, I don't know if Taven was signed that contract before they jumped to USA and before everyone's pay rise. But I know that Marty signed a deal worth a lot more than what Matt Taven signed, and I don't know. I can't be quoted on this, but I have heard that it's only a two-man booking team. Him and Delirious. There's probably more.
Aye, that's exactly what I've heard.
It's just him and Delirious doing the shows, which hopefully the product will improve. Not being able to get too invested in.
I suppose with independence, it just goes up and down. Like sometimes Ring of Honor is going to be really bad, but obviously then sometimes it's going to be really good. The independence will never die.
Oh no, not at all. But like I said, I do think there is a case we made about that. With social media as well, that gave David Starr the platform to call out Gabe Sapolsky for not paying all his workers at Evolve.
Which is a good thing, obviously.
Yeah. And before, did you see all that?
Mm-hmm.
Before, did you see like Gabe's response?
No, what was his?
So I follow Gabe on Twitter, and I'm lucky enough that I've not been blocked. But, he's blocked on his Twitter. He's put it on private now. I don't know if he still is on private, but so David Starr called him out for it, and then he blocked David Starr. Went on like a 20-tweet rant about this bitter reject and this, that, and the next thing, and then everyone just kind of went, yeah, but no, you should be paying everyone that works for you. Doesn't matter if it's only $20, because David Starr said on the We the Indie podcast, he just basically said everyone should be paid at least 20. Doesn't matter if it's £20, euros, dollars. If you're doing anything at a show, even if it's just ring crew, $20 in hand, because that'll probably cover like your travel
And that expenses, definitely.
Because when Paul Robinson was on the same podcast, he said he was like, I would never do anything for free. Sometimes I would work for £20, and £10 got me there, and £10 on my travel, and £10 on my food. So I was wrestling for free, but it didn't mean I was losing any money to go and do it. And you should, I think, especially if you're trying to break into wrestling, you should never be losing money to work a show. You should never be paying for the experience of working a show, even just as ring crew.
The promoters know they need to take more risks now, because the quality of wrestlers is much higher. The wrestlers are going to ask for more money, and they know that there's going to be plenty of options for wrestlers to go to now.
I think you're right as well. Like there is a lot, and I think now there is, with social media and being able to hold these people to account.
Definitely. Because
there was a promotion in Australia. I don't know if they folded, but I know that Will Ospreay had been booked when he done his tour of Australia 2018, like at the end of 2018. On his tour of Australia, he'd been booked for Melbourne City somewhere else, and this other promotion, which I can't remember the name of. Basically, then he got a bunch of DMs off of, I think he said like Robbie Eagles, Jonah Rock, all these like Australian wrestlers, and they're like, yeah, don't work for him. He doesn't pay the local guys. He splashes the whole budget on getting in a big name to get tickets through the door, and then just says, oh, there's some food, sorry, we can't pay, you'll pay next time. And I don't know if they folded or if they changed, but if you're at that kind of crack, then I don't
definitely.
Personally, I know it's
morally wrong.
I don't even think this sounds harsh. Personally, if you are at that kind of carry on and paying only one worker and telling the rest of them to maybe next time, your promotion should fold.
Definitely.
I would not. I would sleep better at night knowing all those circus promoters are out of the business, because it is so disheartening, because you hear these stories of wrestlers who are just not making any money. They might not be the next Undertaker or the next Stone Cold, but if you're like driving all this time,
3 years or something,
to get told, oh look, we'll send you in a couple of weeks, it's like, well, I need it now.
That shouldn't be happening in 2020. Obviously, about 10, 15 years ago, it happened to most, even the biggest wrestlers in the world, before they were the biggest wrestlers in the world. But it definitely shouldn't be happening now.
No, there's a lot of, like I said, now, having social media and having the ability to call people out and hold them accountable, because there was such a, after the Gabe Sapolsky thing, such
an outcry.
But as well, there was like a big conversation. It was like Brian Cage, David Starr, Tony Nese, all these other people were like talking about their experiences. And I think Brian Cage as well, he had just been released from WWE, from developmental. He was really disillusioned, but he was like, Evolve are quite a big company, they're doing all this stuff with Dragon Gate, I'll go to Evolve. And basically Gabe told him, look, you've just been released from WWE, we can pay you this much. He's like, no, I know how much I'm worth, that's half of what I'm asking. I'm not going to lower my booking fee just to get a booking. I know in my own talent I'll succeed. Like, you look at Brian Cage now, Brian Cage is massive, and both in like the size he is as a human and like as a draw.
Definitely.
But I do think it. Like,
I suppose it's about knowing your worth when you think about it. Like, the wrestlers have to know their worth.
Yeah.
I know obviously sometimes they overestimate their worth, but also they should never underestimate their worth and work for money that's just ludicrous.
When I was recording with Michael, my microphone cut out for some reason. So we had a big conversation, roughly 10, 11 minutes long, after the Brian Cage, but it was in the middle of the whole Brian. We're continuing on from what we're talking about Brian Cage and Evolve. And my microphone cut out for about 10, 11 minutes. So it was a big conversation, and I don't know what it was about, but I looked through the file to find where both the microphones came back in. So enjoying what a real podcast would be a sponsor spot. In this, it's just me explaining why there's a weird cut from talking about workers' rights and payments to the fashion police and why we think they're great. Okay, thank you for listening. That was another thing as well, about the whole social media thing. Those, the fashion files and the fashion X files.
That was very good.
Fashion peaks.
Very good.
I remember there was one. I loved all of them. All of them were amazing, but one of the best was, I think it was Backlash where they wrestled the Usos. And that's where I think they really missed a trick there, not putting the titles on them.
Definitely.
Because I know it was a comedy gimmick, but they're two genuinely incredible wrestlers, and it wasn't a comedy gimmick that like Vince is like, haha, that's funny. It was like a genuinely funny, really interesting.
The fans were very into it, you know what I mean?
And it was like genuinely really intriguing, really funny, really interesting with like two great wrestlers. But before that, Breeze had been undercover doing some research, doing some scouting. He was dressed as a janitor. She's got a bald cap on and a fake moustache. And he comes back into their locker room in Fandango in his whole uniform. He's like, where's my partner? Where's my partner? And he's got the board behind him. And then he comes in and he's like, you're a janitor. He's like, no, it's Breeze. He goes, Breeze isn't a janitor. Breeze is my partner. And he takes the bald cap off. And I don't think he's clicked then. And then he takes the moustache off. And he's like, oh, Breeze, you're undercover.
It's just a sailing, isn't it?
So good. But they never put the titles on them.
And then it just folded into obscurity.
Which I think is... They kept on doing it, but then eventually the fashion files got moved to WWE.com. No, not even on YouTube. It was put on like WWE.com exclusively, which is
never a good idea.
Brutal.
It's a place that goes to die.
You keep putting them up on the YouTube and people could still watch them, but
I definitely, because the amount of subscribers WWE have that.
Like top 10 or top 20 most subscribed channels in the world. It's crazy. Like 20 million subs.
They really do keep out a lot of uploads,
yeah,
and it's really fast, to be honest. Like, even when the shows are just finished, there's always something right up about especially SmackDown and Raw.
It's a bit like, although it's more impressive in this case because it's just one guy doing it, but it's like, the Joe Rogan podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the Joe Rogan clips. The clips are going up as the podcast is still live. So your man that's like, the guy, I can't remember his name, but he's all, can you bring this up for us, that guy? He, like, at the time, is like listening into it, also going back and taking out like a 2-minute chunk of something really interesting that was said, uploading it while still going, oh wait, now I need to get up this photo of this thing for him here. Right now I need to put this on the YouTube, which is crazy. And obviously WWE definitely have a team doing that.
That's one of the things they do very well. There might not be many things they're doing very well, but that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, they do a lot of things. Like I say, they don't do a lot of things great from a product standpoint.
I suppose they don't need to because of like the money, the deals they get. If they were struggling money wise, they'd obviously be putting on a better wrestling show.
Because I remember even saying when AEW was announced, I was like, this isn't going to light a fire under Vince McMahon, but it's going to light a fire under Triple H.
Definitely.
That's who they're competing with, not just in the fact that they've took Wednesday, the same as, although I think the original plan was Tuesday Night Dynamite, which has a much nicer ring to it, I think.
Definitely.
But I just don't think they could get it on TNT. They couldn't find a network that would take it on a Tuesday. I think that might be it, or maybe Corey was like, let's just go ahead to NXT. I think they knew they were going to war with Hunter, not Vince, immediately.
Which is obviously harder.
A lot harder, because you've got you look at the main roster product, which is a bit shaky, and that's me being very
generous.
It's very shaky. It has its moments of genius. It has its incredible moments like Kofi Mania, but Kofi Mania was a total accident. Kofi Mania was never supposed to happen. And I know that's like some of the best stories you hear about, like Becky Lynch as well. That was another thing.
And Daniel Bryan as well. Look how many WWE stories have just happened. And Bray Wyatt, obviously this wasn't planned from the beginning.
It's like you look at these incredible, I would say they're 4 of the 5 best stories of the past. Like
definitely
of the 2010s. You've got Kofi Mania, you've got Becky, you've got the Fiend, you've got Daniel Bryan winning it. There's all these things that just weren't ever supposed to happen.
And then just a fan reaction, to be honest, takes it somewhere.
Exactly. You know, you look at Bray. Bray's had so many great characters and great moments ruined by overbooking. He went away and had the Firefly Funhouse made entirely on his own, by himself, out of his own pocket, and then he came back to Vince and he's like, this is this idea I have. These are pre-tapes I've already made. Here's 8 weeks of TV. Just let me do this. All me. This is only for me. And then I think that's, you know, you have to assume that's what happened. There were the stories and all that, but you know, he came back with this amazing new character that he'd just done all on his own, because he knew if he brought the idea, you know, to Vince, that, because have you actually listened to the New Days podcast?
Mm.
So they got this podcast through WWE. It's very good. I'm on the 3rd episode. It's obviously really funny because it's then they were like, when we came up with the idea of the New Day, it's because we were disillusioned with the way black wrestlers were seen.
Mm-hmm.
There were three archetypes in wrestling for black wrestlers at the time. One was like the dancing black guy, which Woods was. One is the foreign black guy, which Kofi was for a bit, and one is the big strong black guy, which Big E was.
In NXT.
So you had all that. They brought their ideas and they came up with this group, and they kind of brought all this stuff to Vince, and then Vince, you know, finally, eventually, after they talked about how they wanted to break the stereotypes and break down barriers and all this, Vince was like, I've got it. You're going to be preachers. And apparently we're all just there in this meeting like,
No.
We can't. Well, they were for a bit, but they were like, we can't say no to this because we won't get on TV otherwise. But we've come to you with this story about how we want to break down the cultural barriers and tell black kids watching wrestling, you know, you can be a world champion. You can be, you know, they eventually. That's another thing as well. That's probably their, you know, the fifth highlight of the decade, if we can separate that from Kofi Mania, because they were never meant to succeed. They were never meant to get to this level. But
what kind of tag team titles have won?
Because they just done it, and they were weird with it, and they were funny with it, and they were creative with it.
They were the best heels, the best faces.
Now they're at a point where they're saying if they're ever asked to break up, they'll leave the company. Unless they themselves, I don't think they ever want to, but they've been saying if creative tell them we're going to break you guys up, they've said collectively we'll make a stand and walk out.
Well, would they go if they broke up? In WWE?
Exactly.
What would any of them be able to do? They're not going to push any of them to a top tier star.
But they all have the ability to do that, and I think.
Of course they do.
And that the thing is, well, I remember when Kofi won the title, and a lot of people were going, "Oh, they're going to break them up now." They were like, "No, they can still be this team." While Kofi is the single star with the WWE Championship, because they have such a great chemistry. They get
Each
how
other.
to work. They get how to work each other. They get how to work social media. They get how to work the fans. You know, they just
get it.
Yeah, they just get it.
everything.
And I think, you know, they wouldn't have been able to like naturally transition that without
Each other.
Yeah. Also without the internet to be there for people to be like, this is class, keep doing this, and the numbers they got on YouTube and stuff. The more WWE lets go of it, if that makes sense. So the more Vince has to do with the business side and business alone, the better the better place they'll be in. And the more they can just let their talent be themselves.
Instead of that, look how much that rate the creative team will be on, money wise, for what? It just makes it look silly, doesn't it?
Because they talked about there was on the New Day podcast, they were talking about a big list of names. They were given 3 pages of names for their stable that Kofi still had, and they read through them. And a lot of them are so bad. Like, some of them are the worst.
They're trying to be, WWE was trying to be the worst comedy show, aren't they?
They had, because it was I can't even remember. One of the names was KBX. Kofi, it's Kofi's first name. Xavier, it's Xavier's first name. So does that mean E's first name is Big? Like, that was one. Then they had, there was one, it was like there was Resurrection, or Resurrection spelled WRECK, or Resurrex, that letter X, Shun. They had like a lot of like biblical, and there was one as well, the House of Positive Energy. Just all this stuff, and like they're all just so bad. Like, and I get what they were saying as well. You know, they weren't at the time priorities on the roster, and all these guys, you know, have maybe like 20 writers spread through like 70, 80 guys, and they're not like top stars, but
they definitely knew their worth. You know what I mean? They knew how much further they could go.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. You know, I appreciate the betting on yourself to a much bigger extent, you got how Corey done it.
Definitely.
Corey just left.
He just knew himself.
Corey knew himself. He could be a top star.
I couldn't even imagine Cody Rhodes being this big, but look at him now.
Because I remember when he left, I was always going to do a lot of cool stuff. He's going to go to like all these different companies. Now he's started his own.
And everybody's coming to him. He doesn't need to go to anybody.
Have you ever heard him talk about? He was on Edge and Christian's podcast talking about running all in. He genuinely puts it up to. He took a bit too much pre-workout and got fired up before he hit the gym. And I seen Dave Meltzer's tweet saying, "Not with the current roster, they couldn't draw 10,000." And he was like, "Oh, well, we'll do it." He was all. He has said quite a few times, he was like, "If I didn't take as much pre-workout, we might not have run that show." It's been good. Thank you for coming on, Michael.
Thanks a lot for having us.
After this wee break, it's going to go quiet, and I'm going to come back to an interview with Rory Coyle talking about the benefits and the benefits and the downsides of social media and wrestling from a guy in wrestling who's very good at using social media. I know we kind of went off on a tangent and just sort of spoke about the state of the business, but I think it was all quite relevant and all sort of came in nice back into everything. Michael, where can the people find you on the internet?
Michael Shearer's blog and Michael Shearer's sports blog on Twitter and Instagram.
Well, check out Michael for definite, and here comes the interview with Rory Coyle. So I'm now joined in the back half of the podcast with a wrestler who I'm very excited to have on. You may know him from North Wrestling, you may know him from Defiant Wrestling. He is the video nasty Rory Coyle. Rory, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Well, I'm just, I'm going to be honest, I'm not long out of bed. That's why I was like, give me a couple of minutes because I need to make a coffee.
Don't worry about it. So the topic of this episode is wrestling and social media. And you yourself are an absolute master at making wee quick 2-3 minute videos and throwing them up on Twitter to just build an insane amount of hype for anything, like particularly the Eddie Kingston one, which from recently, which by the way, banging match.
Oh well, I felt it the next day. I was like, oh, that was a bad idea.
Yes, the VHS spot that bit was quite. That I wouldn't, but
it's a weird thing. I've never been hit by my own thing before, and then he hit me with it, and I was like, oh man, that's really sore. I don't know why I did it.
Now you're getting a bit of a. You're just like, just don't know if I want to do that more. But I say, so you use like Twitter and vignettes and little promo packages and stuff better than most people in the UK indies. So how did that really come about?
It came about a couple of different ways. Like obviously when I grew up watching wrestling, like the guys that I gravitated towards were always those kind of guys. Like, so I think like it's kind of anyone that watches me wrestle. I use the term wrestle lightly because what I do is not really wrestling. But like anyone normally sees like the fact that like I'm massively inspired by Jake Roberts and like Cactus Jack and Terry Funk. And it was the fact that like when I watched wrestling, like that's what got me into wrestling. It wasn't necessarily the moves. It was like the promos beforehand that would make me want to tune in.
Yeah.
And then it was like the moments in the ring, like the storylines, and then what happened afterwards. So when I started wrestling, like that was something that I gravitated towards, and I think it ended up that kind of like it ended up being like one of my strengths. So it was like I'm trained by Rampage Brown, and he kind of like after about a year or so took me one side and he's like, "Look, mate," he's like, "we know that you're not going to do like a massive nip up and do like a drop kick." He's like, "But like you're good at talking and you're good at you get the psychology better." He's like, "So like that's where you should put your efforts." So and I was a massive horror movie fan as well. Like so it was just this weird chance to mix together these two things I loved, and then I tried it, and honestly, when I did it, I thought like this could fall like really flat, and people might just laugh at it or they might hate it because the first couple of videos that went out were all like you late videos and stuff like that, and they were like alternative reality videos. Nobody was really doing it at the time. Like everyone was very much being like, "I'm a serious, real person."
Yeah.
So I put together this whole video package, and like I never released it to anyone. I took it to Rampage Brown and Screwface Ahmed, who like my trainers, and I was like, "Look, I've got this idea. What do you guys think?" And they were like, "Yeah, just release it. Like, you should just put it out there." And then I got lucky then that like other people helped me out, like Rich Dunn, who runs NGW, and Alex Shane, like were always giving me feedback, and then I got lucky to be kind of like mentored by James Dixon at Defiant, and like that was very much what he got, was like he gets that side of wrestling. So
Yeah.
I think at the time I felt like, oh, this is like, people are either going to really laugh at this and be like, what's this guy weird problem? Like, why is he making these strange videos? Or they're going to latch on to it. And then I got lucky that people, like a lot of people, sort of were around like the term like best promo in the UK and stuff, which is really cool for me to hear. Like on the odd occasion, someone will say Jake Roberts, and like that, I can quit that day. I'm like, right, well, I've fooled someone into thinking I'm anywhere in the same league as like the best promo guy. So.
Cause the thing is, as well, is it's like, I remember the time you kind of came into Defiant was, you know, I think admittedly a lot of people had kind of fell off at the whole what culture, cultaholic Exodus thing.
Yeah.
Because they were like a part of the story, and I know that like they've kind of spoke about it. The plan was always for them to be, I think, go a bit tyrannical and then get kicked out by the roster and rebrand it as Defiant. But I kind of think like when I did try admittedly to keep on, but there was a bit weird and a bit lost. But then you came in kind of just shortly after I sort of peaked off. But I kept seeing like clips on Twitter, and I was like, oh, I quite like the sound of this guy. And I would tune back in for big matches. I think you had one against Rampage on an episode of Loaded, which I just remember being in awe of, because it was so weird, so mental, but like I loved it. I thought it was class.
Yeah.
And it was like you were saying about the promo thing. I suppose you don't know until you try it. Like, I think it was Mark Skrull was talking about when he does the whole like screaming chicken wing. So he says he'd done that as a laugh. I was like, just thought it'd be quite funny to do, and now it's like, you know, his whole thing.
Yeah, people latch on to it, they gravitate. Yeah, it's weird. Like the Defiant stuff it was cool for me because like it was all like everything in the videos was real. Like like I was legit on the first ever taping. I was cut from the first ever taping. I wasn't ready for the first ever taping. Like I laugh about it because I was like, what am I doing here? Like, you know, I was sitting in the back and there's like Big Damo and like Jay Lethal and Rampage Brown and like.
I forgot they had Jay Lethal on that first taping.
What?
I forgot they had Jay Lethal on that first taping.
Yeah, it was cool in a way because like no one ever saw it. Like and then, but in the back of my head it was like, right, there's a reason I've not been used there, and I was like, I'm gonna make sure I get to the stage where they have to use me, and then I'm gonna shove it down their throat. Like it was like a nice little goal, and then I got a call one day. They're like, we want you to come back to Defiant. Like, do you have any ideas? And I was like, well, I've got an idea that's 100% real. The fact that you guys ignored me for 800 days. And it was good. Like, it was just, it was cool to get that platform, because then people, I think that opened up my brand. Like, a lot more people that would look at it and stuff. And I absolutely loved Defiant. Like, it was one of my favorite. It was really stressful because obviously we would tape like 4 weeks in one night.
Oh, it was all
so that,
one
but
night.
it was like, it was a nice learning experience. That locker room, like guys like Martin Kirby and Joe Hendry, like it's just learning from those guys every night, and like them giving you advice and saying like, don't do this and try this instead. That was brilliant.
Saying that, they do what we do like 4 weeks in one night. Because I remember I nearly got tickets to, I think it was like the second or third taping, but then I was at school and I had like exams coming up. It was the pointless like end of year exams that mean nothing, but my mum wouldn't let me go to Newcastle and watch
You're not going to Newcastle for that wrestling.
She was like, why do you want to go to Newcastle? Oh, there's a wrestling show on. No, I can just get the bus. No, say my grandma's up in Falkirk. But she was having none of it. But like obviously like there was tapings that night. But thinking about it now, yeah, because obviously like Ring of Honor, they do I think 6 weeks in one night, but it was when they had like the Young Bucks and stuff on. They had a massive big roster that they could spread it between like 6 hours of TV. But so would you have been like doing like 2 or 3 matches in that one taping or something sometimes?
I got lucky in that the fact that like a lot of my stuff is like I don't need to wrestle. So a lot of my bets were like I would always have one match per night at least, and then most of my other stuff then would be like I would have a promo segment, or I'd have, you know, I would know that I would have a promo that I would have to deliver, you know, by week 2 or something like that. But there'd be guys there that were working like, maybe two or three times in the one night across the episodes. Whereas I think the busiest night I had was when I had the title, and it was kind of like I was on every episode, and I was featured heavily on every episode. So it was like I opened the show with an Oscar acceptance speech style promo. Then it was like there was a couple of matches. Then I was back out. Then there was a couple of matches. Then I did the funeral for Rampage Brown. Then there was a couple of matches, and it was like it was just the busiest night I'd ever had in wrestling, which was cool because you don't have time to worry about stuff. You just have to go out and do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of those guys, they were doing like two or so matches a night at a minimum, and like the weird thing is like the credits needs to go to that crowd, like because like as a wrestler, that's a long night, and I'm bored. Like I'm just like, oh god, I hate wrestling. As a fan, like I don't know how they keep themselves up for that. I mean, it helps that it's full of alcohol and stuff, but like, and it's down to Defiant as well. Like the way they put together those shows were super clever because there was one night we had Pac. I think it was Pac versus Rampage Brown, and I think that actually happened on episode 3. But we were like, you know, we need to put it on last because that's the main event of the night.
Yeah.
And they would always structure in a way that, or I think maybe they did it the other way around, where it was on the last episode, but they put it on earlier because they were like, we need the crowd to be like fully awake and hot and stuff. And that's down to like the way I recently went to an NXT UK taping, and like I love a lot of the guys on the show and stuff. Like I think it's unbelievable, but it was tough for me because I was like, Jesus, this is a real long night. And it's just down to how it's structured and stuff. So we would always have like a promo, a match, like a comedy segment, a match, like a tag match, something, a hardcore match. And it would just hopefully keep people in it. And then that obviously helps that you're in Newcastle and everyone's hammered. But yeah, they're long, really, really long nights. So anyone that does that, like tape product, like I have ultimate respect for, because just like, and also be like having to change yourself across like a couple of weeks of TV in one night.
Yeah.
Is hard. Like I remember watching Joe Hendry do it, where like he purposely like be quickly changing his gear so he looked different and stuff like that. And it's like all those details when you watch it weekly, people don't notice.
Yeah,
which is good because we've done a good job.
Because I remember like back when NXT used to be taped before it went live, me and my mate we were trying to work out like how long the taping blocks were.
Yes.
So we're like, we'll fixate on one person. This ended up being a lost cause. But we're like, we'll fixate on one person in the crowd, and then we'll come back every Wednesday and we'll like see if they're still there. And we picked, because we hadn't noticed them before. You know the guy that's always in the front row that wears the Everton shirt?
Yeah. Yeah.
We were like, right, well, somebody's brought their dad to the wrestling on their holidays. We'll check back in 5 or 6 weeks and see if he's still not there. And then I think we kept looking every week. We're like, no, it's still the same taping batch. And then we're seeing spoilers from a taping batch that we'd heard about. And we're like, so is he just? And then about 3 months later, he was still there in his same seat.
He's there, just massive Everton fan, isn't he?
I found like I seen someone tweeting him, and I found this thing, and it's like, I mean, no disrespect to Everton or Everton fans or nothing, but his thing was like he was like founder of like Everton USA like fan society, and I was like, what? Just it's like Man United or something like that. Like you get because they're like a massive team like Man United, Celtic, Barcelona, stuff like that. But I just found Everton a bit a weird one.
Aye, like how niche is that audience?
I went on to the wee like Everton USA football society or whatever, and they've got about 2,000 followers. So fair play to them. But so obviously Defiant have like recently folded, but you know there is such a booming like market in the northeast with like North and stuff, and you are a big name at North. You recently wrestled Eddie Kingston, which I don't think there's any amount of money that could make me stand in the same room as Eddie Kingston because I'm very scared of him.
He's terrifying.
Oh, he really is. I was at the OTT 5th anniversary show. He was wrestling Terry Thatcher. It was a great match, but like Terry came out and he had like a target painted on his chest for Eddie to specifically just batter, and God bless that man. But what was that like when you? I'm guessing you got told, or did you hear he was coming and were like, no, I need Eddie Kingston, or?
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously, like it's a strange thing with North. Like the North will never try and. I think we learned the hard way on our first show. We'll never try and pitch your tent on the imports. So I got a message from Bowers saying, "I've got Eddie Kingston for the next show. You get first refusal." And I just went, well, there's no point asking anyone else.
Nah.
And it was just like, it was nice. It's nice that I'm kind of, like all the boys joke that I'm the office now. like what they need to realise is I'm just really popular.
Ah.
It's not my fault. But yeah, it was nice to get like a nice that Bars has that kind of trust with me. They kind of say, you know, this is the import. Do you want to have it? Do you want to have the match with him? And it was cool for me because I think Andrew knows that I'm a massive Eddie Kingston fan, and what we didn't really, I think we alluded to a little bit in the post-match promo was like, again, it's all real. Like I had one of my first matches was on the Shearer pre-show when Shearer came and Eddie was there.
Jeez.
And Eddie was the ultimate professional, super nice. Like didn't have a clue who we were, like, but took a bit of time to say hello. Shook our hands, like, and then we got to watch him that night. And for me, like, he's like unbelievable. I love his in-ring stuff, but like his promos, like you just can't touch. No one in wrestling today can touch him.
Oh,
when it comes to promos, like his NWA stuff he's doing.
Stuff in NWA is incredible. So you were saying there, you kind of one of your first matches back in the Chicago pre-show. So you're not from England, but you know you kick about that sort of scene. So what brought you over to? Because it's clear, you know, I can hear the Irish accent in there.
Yeah. So I'm from Ulster in Donegal.
You're Donegal, man.
I'm actually from the Republic of Ireland, but like a lot of people.
You're Donegal, man.
Yeah.
I lived in Rathmullen for 8 years.
I live from Buncrana.
Hardly. That's class.
I
knew a name like Rory Coyle, you had to be like Derry or Donegal.
Yeah, there are a lot of people call me from Northern Ireland, and it's just accent, like, because obviously I grew up very, very close to the border, so I do sound northern. So I just moved over here in like 2002, and I actually moved to the northeast England, and it's just part of it's. I separate like that stuff from the wrestling stuff. So I'm not dodging your question, but but I am dodging your question. But yeah, I moved over in 2002, and then I only went back for about a year. I think about 2006 or something like that. And then I've lived here the whole time, but I've kicked around the northeast, like so, like Darlington and like Gateshead, Newcastle. I lived in Newcastle for a couple of years, and now I live kind of down like. Weirdly, I lived in Hartlepool temporarily with Shreddy, which is a terrible idea. Two of us in a house, and now I live down like kind of the Stockton kind of Middlesbrough area. But I've always been. It's weird for me, the northeast. Like when I moved over, I just felt like home straight away because it was like everyone's got the same, and you'll probably find this like. It's like the Scotland thing as well. If I go anywhere in Scotland,
yeah, it's like
I just fit in because it's the similar. I don't know if it's like the similar upbringing or something like that, but everyone's just got the same mindset and like they like a bit of crack. And
the crack's always the same, and it's all.
Nobody takes themselves too seriously, and like.
It's.
I think that's why I loved like when I got to do the little run in ICW. Like I just felt like I belong here, type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like, all the lads were super nice to me, but I found that in the northeast England, like it just everyone's just super relaxed. They don't take themselves too seriously. Nobody's up themselves or anything like that. So. I just kind of settled in. It's just kind of, it's weird now where like I was thinking about it the other day. It's like I've lived here probably like 18 years, which is like a long old haul. But obviously the accent's not going anywhere.
Sure, I was 12 when I moved to Rathmullen, and like just I remember folk they would always give me like, oh, you know, lost the accent. I'm like, no, it's just going nowhere.
I know. Like I have known people that have moved away for like a year, come back, and you're like, "What's up with your accent?" But like I notice I do talk like a little bit slower, I'll notice if I go back, I'll go back to Ireland a couple times a year, and then when I come back, I try and talk to Rampage, and he's like, "What the hell are you saying?" He's like, "I don't have a clue." He's like, "You've like increased your Irishness." So yeah, like the longer I'm over here, the more I slow down and stuff. But
you'd have no hope for
like,
man.
I love it, and I got lucky that like Newcastle's got like a budding kind of wrestling scene as well. Like I got real lucky that that's where What Culture and Defiant were based, because obviously they wanted to use like local guys on the shows and stuff, so that really helped me. And I got lucky that Rampage Brown opened up a school, like literally in the area.
I can't think anyone better to be trained by. If I'm being honest, like Rampage is, it's ridiculous. He's insane.
Yeah, like he's just. I think it's good now that people are starting to kind of acknowledge the fact that, like, because all the wrestlers say it. Like, all the wrestlers will say, like, he's the best heavyweight in Europe, and there's no one can touch him.
Easy.
And he's the most versatile as well. But also, like, he in terms of a trainer, like, I can't think of anyone better. Like, he's just, like, he trained me, but he trained me different than he trained, Freddie Break, and trained me different than he trained Alex Henry. Like, he's trained me a specific way because he gets what I'm doing, and he knows so much about wrestling that, like, he can accommodate himself to suit other people. So if you come in and you're a high flyer, then Rampage can teach you because he's worked with so many high flyers and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's good now. I noticed, like, he started in these training camps, and they're starting to sell out all over the company. And it's like, yeah, it's finally now people are realizing that this guy's like the best wrestler that we have. But it's good because it's weird. I don't really see him as he's kind of a mentor, and I like everything in wrestling. But it was weird. We clicked because we're the same age. We're in the same stuff, like the same music, the same movies and stuff like that. Like, we both love food. So it was weird. We instantly just kind of became like mates. And now I'd consider him like one of my best mates, and it's good to kind of be able to just go like, talk about something that's not wrestling. Which is cool. Because normally we're in the car, me and him, we'll talk about wrestling, but then we'll talk about everything else. Like, and then before you know it, the 6-hour car journey's past, and you're like, crap.
Chris Brooks was on Twitter, and he was kind of asked about, like, the Schadenfreude and Friends show, and, like, what kind of influence. I think he was asked about particularly any wrestling influences he takes for just his own style and, like, running those shows. But he kind of said that it's more like movies and music and stuff like that inspires him. And obviously you have a massive take from, like, horror movies. So how did that kind of come around?
Yeah, I think, like, it's weird. I can see that in Brooks' stuff, and, like, it's weird. Me and Brooks have never really done anything, but like, I think we wrestled real quickly once at North. I had a really nice conversation with him about that, and he was saying to me, like, basically I had been a bit of an ass in a promo and, like, shot on him. And then I just said to him, I said, I hope you know that, like, I didn't mean it all. And he was like, no, that's cool. And they were talking about his branding. I love his stuff, like, the way he brands himself and everything. Yeah, so for me, it was weird. It's because, I thought, like, I think this about everything. Like, if I only base my wrestling on other wrestling, then, like, where are we going to go?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's always going to be the same as everything. Like, so if everyone bases their stuff on the same wrestlers, then everyone becomes the same. So for me, it was like I grew up watching horror movies, like but I love all movies. Like, I watch. The joke was, like, my old tag partner used to just call me Movie Boy because there was days where I would just bunk off and I would go to the cinema and watch 4 movies in a row on my own with, like, just a coffee. Which is, like, the perfect day for me. That, walk my dog, and then I'm in heaven.
I think I'm doing that later on the day. I've got the Cineworld Unlimited card, and I've not got any plans tonight.
That was the thing. I got the Cineworld Unlimited card, and I would just spend days in the cinema.
I think I'm going to see, like, it's like Parasites out, Birds of Prey. I might just go and just do a big all dayer and just keep going back in.
Just find the one, yeah. So I think it was, for me, it was, obviously I wanted to be this character. And I was like, well, I don't want to base it on other wrestling, because wrestling fans will always draw the quickest comparison they can.
Yeah.
And I got this at the start with the Bray Wyatt thing. And really what people couldn't realize was that, like, I was looking at like Tom Savini and stuff like that. And Tom Savini's the guy that designed
he done
Bray Wyatt's mask. So I was looking at movies that he'd worked on, and I was looking at, like, The Devil's Rejects and, like, Last House on the Left and, like, The Hills of Eyes and all these things about, like, what would happen if this guy lived in this, wasn't one of these characters, but he entered the wrestling world, and that was my idea, and that was my thought process behind it. But then obviously Bray Wyatt is looking at the same source material.
Yeah.
So we were always going to kind of cross over in a certain way.
Because I remember around at the time you came through in Defiant, and I had, like, just a friend of mine through Twitter was kind of saying, I don't get it, he's just trying to be Bray Wyatt. And I was like, right, well, let me look at a couple of these promos, and I looked at them and I was like, no, it's like they just obviously have the same idea that if you want to, like, stand out, don't base yourself on wrestling unless your whole gimmick is like Timothy Thatcher and I am very, very good at wrestling.
yeah, unless you're like a wrestler's wrestler,
Yeah.
which I knew I was never going to be. So I was like, well, I got to go this other direction. Yeah, and it's like, it was good because the more I did it, the more people would do what you kind of did, and they would look at it and go, no, wait a minute, you know.
Because it's a bit like just going, you clearly have the same idea of what, the same kind of thought process of where to take your character and the same sort of vague influences. But I never saw it as like a oh, that's popular, I'll do my own sort of spin on that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think it changed a little bit then when I kind of became like a singles wrestler, because it was like I had this light bulb moment with Alex Shane, and like you'll hear people talk about Alex Shane in British wrestling and stuff, and he's never been anything other than amazing to me. So I was down doing the MediaCon in Manchester, and I remember at the time I was just changing myself a little bit, so all I was doing was, and this is worrying, was I was making Rory Coyle more like me. So there was a lot more of me coming out in the character, and then suddenly, as soon as I started doing it, people were responding better. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, so this whole Stone Cold thing of just turning yourself up to 11 is actually true. So I was in the car with Alex Shane, and he's quite blunt the way he talks to people. I'm not going to try and do an accent, but he's like...
he's got a very distinctive voice, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like, tell me, I don't get Rory Coyle yet. He's like, tell me what it is. And then I was like, man, I'm a horror movie villain, like, come to life. And he's like, I can't put that on TV. And I go, well, you know what? I go, I'm actually just a guy that's obsessed with horror movies, and I want to make horror movies in a wrestling ring. And he just turned around and he was like, that's the guy that I can put on my shows. And I was like, oh crap, yeah. And I was sitting on it the whole time, and it really all it was reality. It was just me being real, and I was like, oh crap, why does it take me like 3 years and loads of bumps to get here? So yeah, I think that, and then like when I did the ACW stuff, it was weird because a couple of good friends, like one of my very good friends, teaches film. So I'll spend a lot of time just talking to him about movies and stuff. And he'll always watch. He doesn't watch wrestling at all, but he'll always watch my videos. And he watched the video and he's like, "Oh, I really loved that nod that you did to Poltergeist." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then when I watched it back, I was like, "Oh yeah." I watched so many movies now.
They just all
that like there is a shot in the ICW promo where Baz Band's reaching towards the static on the TV to touch it. And that is just 100% Toby Hooper from the Poltergeist movie, and it's like I'd watched it back on all my stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, like that is 100%. There's always a shot I use of me on the stairs, and it's a Nosferatu shot, like, and I was like, what the hell? And I watched them back, and I was like, oh crap! So the guy's got like an encyclopedia of movies in my head, and I've just been like reusing shots and stuff like that. And then that's why I was like, when I did the Lake Ulate shirts and stuff as well, at the start I didn't want to have merch, normal merch, because I was like, for me at the start it didn't make sense. Why would these two guys
was it
have...
like the Jericho kind of thing?
No, it was just like, for me it didn't make sense in terms of like, why would these two guys that aren't really wrestlers have merchandise?
Yeah, right.
So our merch at the start was always like Ulate merch. So it was always like we'd repurpose something that already existed in our world. So like that's why my first shirt was like, it was like the Sons Ulate shirt, but it was a Lake Ulate logo, and then with the Sons Ulate like written over the top of it, and then I did the Camp Ulate shirts and stuff like that. So I always liked that, and that's the thing that I always like about like horror movies and stuff, is like if you go to buy some Jaws merch now, you don't get like a Jaws t-shirt, you get like a t-shirt for the town and stuff like that. And it's like, or if you go to buy an Alien t-shirt, you get like the Wayland Corporation and stuff. So then, as I changed, as I developed, it was like, well, why wouldn't I have my own merch? Because I'm making my own movies. I'm going to be making merch, and also like I want to make money off the t-shirts. So it's like, this makes more sense. But yeah, it was weird. Like it's just, it was cool because. And even still now, like I've started doing like a thing called the Ulate tapes on my Patreon and stuff, and it's like it's very heavily inspired by the fact that like I love listening to podcasts and audiobooks, and like I'd listen to stuff like Serial, or I'd listen to like the Ted Bundy tapes and stuff like that, And then I think, well, why can't I have a version of that where it's like this bunch of tapes that people have found, and then you can just listen to it, and it's like it just fills in the gaps of like where I'm from and what my thought process is and stuff.
Fair enough. I've a couple wee sort of questions now. So out of all the horror movie villains, who you want to wrestle the most and who you want to tag with the most?
That's class. Oh man.
Or what about this horror movie protagonists? Who you want to batter, seeing as you are the horror movie villain?
I think. So, I just want to be in the same room as Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's fair.
So that's just because I love her.
That's just class.
And I've never hidden that fact. I'm trying, because for me then it would have to be like a really annoying horror movie protagonist, someone that you want to see die. I'm trying to think who I really hate. I don't really think I hate anyone really.
I was going to give my answer, but she already gets it. It's Janet Leigh in Psycho. Winds me up, and then she gets got, and I'm like, good for you.
Yeah, I'm trying. You know what? In most modern horror movies, it would probably be anyone, because I think like when I watch new horror movies, it just grinds my gears.
With the exception of like Jordan Peele stuff, I'm zoned out for modern horror movies. Yeah,
like because it's kind of weird because he's doing like he's doing stuff like for me like stuff like Rosemary's Baby, like he's doing the modern equivalent of that.
He's instead because I remember I was like 15 or 16. It was like my friend's like 16th, and we're kind of seeing each other. And she was like, "Right, we'll go to the cinema." And I was like, "Right, cool." And she was like, "I want to go see."
That's your friend, by the way. If you're kind of seeing each other.
Well, we're friends now. We're kind of, but she was like, "I want to go see Annabelle," and I was like, "I really don't want to see Annabelle." And the whole film was just bit of strings, bang. And I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah.
Don't care whatsoever.
It is that like it has become very like by the numbers, quite bang stuff, and like that's why I think I want to see Midsummer.
Oh
and,
yeah.
Like it stood out. Like it was weird because loads of people left the cinema. But it stood out because it's like it's different. You know, it's like the folk horror and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think I'm trying to think now in terms of tagging. I think I'd want to tag with Jason. No, I'd want to tag with Freddy because he's got good crack.
He does have good crack.
Because I'm assuming I'd be in the car with him then. So yeah. And
so you've put this out the ring. You've put this like on the drives.
Yeah, like I'm gonna have to go pick him up. We're gonna have to get to the venue together. We're probably gonna have to grab some food afterwards. And also like the crack you could have with him on the apron when you're waiting for a tag would be hilarious.
He might slice up the tag rope though, and then they won't be legal tags. See that might.
I never do legal matches. And then for me, like one of my favorites, I love the Halloween franchise. One of my favorite villains is like Mike Myers. Like he's just that perfect, like unstoppable hit. But in terms of like a wrestler, like Jason, because like the creativity of the kills in the Friday the 13th franchise is unbelievable. There's a weird like. So I'll go off topic here and I'll tell you this stupid story. So Tom Savini is obviously like the visual effects artist. He made like the childhood Jason and stuff. And I loved like From Dusk Till Dawn when I was a kid. Makes me sound really old. So I was at a Rise show where I was doing my usual thing at Rise where I turn up and I just beat up someone and I leave. And I was backstage and what I thought, like there was a couple of lads there I know, like Shreddy and Benji. And this guy walked in and I proper lost my mind because I was like, oh my God, Tom Savini's at a Rise show. Like, and the boys were like looking at me for my reaction, and I was like, what's going on here? This is amazing. He turned around, it was Wagner off X Factor. And like, the boys still laugh about it because they're like, do you remember that day that Irish thought that
that's class.
He met like his horror movie hero, but really it was just Wagner from X Factor, and then he couldn't have cared, and I really couldn't have cared. Then I was like, for God's sake, it's just that lad off X Factor. I was so gutted. Like I thought I'd met Tom Savini, and then I turned around and was like, that's Wagner.
Here's my question: what was Wagner doing at the Rise show?
Oh no, don't even chat. Like he was Darwin's father or something like that. He did basically. Wagner was there because he was doing a run-in in the main event, and he came out in a pig mask, unmasked himself, did, and you probably find this footage online, did the weirdest karate I've ever seen in my life.
And
I grew up watching like blaxploitation movies like Black Belt Jones and stuff, and he makes Black Belt Jones look like Bruce Lee. And then he does like the weirdest chair shot I've ever seen in my life as well. But backstage, he was like the nicest. Like, it was so weird. He just seemed like he was really happy to be there, and he was just asking like loads of people stuff about wrestling. He seemed obsessed with shredding. Like, he was just like, wow, what are you doing in the gym? Shreddy's just standing there like buffing out of his top, going, "No, I just left a lot of stuff." But yeah, it was weird. Like, Rise is like a weird place like that, but still have Wagner on a show.
That's class.
It's perfectly normal to all them, but obviously I thought it was Tom Savino.
That's unreal. I'm after realising now I didn't do this at the start. I wrote a couple of wee questions when I sort of visioned this podcast that I would always ask at the start, and I just kind of forgot. So I'm going to throw them in here at the end.
No worries.
So the first question is, what's your earliest memory of wrestling?
Earliest memory is I can't even figure out what age I was, but my dad took me to see wrestling, and it was either in a place called Columns Amusements in Buncana, or it was at a place called the Rialto in Derry. And I just remember, because obviously back then you could smoke indoors. I just remember like this sea of people, and I've still got the image like super clear in my head, and it being like yellow because of all the tobacco and stuff. I just remember seeing two big guys wrestle in the middle of the ring, and I was just fixated on it. I was just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. It was weird because I spoke to my dad about it years later, and he said that was the night that he thought, wrestling's terrible, and he gave up on it because he was like, it's just it's fake or whatever. But that was the night that I got into wrestling, and then weirdly years later, I was talking. Me and Rampage were talking about like memories of wrestling and stuff like that, and I told him that story, and he was like, I think I've wrestled in that venue. And he reckons it might have been an Oric Williams tour that was doing it, because then obviously Rampage then came on the Oric Williams team like later. But yeah, that's like my earliest memory, is like being up my dad's shoulders and seeing like wrestling in like a smoke-filled room. Yeah. And I was just, that was it.
Yeah.
I'm hooked from then on.
It's always that way when you see it, when you, because for me, mine's a bit of a weird one. I was up at like a family friend's, like my mum's, like one of my mum's family friends, and her sons had SmackDown vs Raw, either the original one or 2006 on the PS2, and I just seen the Hurricane, and I was like, oh, what's this? I quite like this. and then like got DVDs, found like Paul London and Brian Kendrick, and I was like, who are these? I'm in. I'm done. That's me. And then the second question is, when do you know you were in love with wrestling? Like, was there a moment that, like, or something really clicked and you were like, this is it?
I don't know. Like, as a fan, this is probably like a really weird one. As a fan, it was probably like Undertaker versus Undertaker, because I was daft. It was super daft. Like, I was of an age where I was like, this is so, it's not as daft in my eyes, but like, I didn't have Sky when I was a kid, but when one of our mates had it, one of our mates' aunties had it, so we would buy like a box of tapes, long play tapes, and she would record the pay-per-views for us, and then we would pass it around all our mates, and then I would get it like a third last, I think I would get it. And just when I saw that, like, it just gripped me. Like, that whole thing, that whole angle just got me so good that I was like, this is it. So I was like, as a fan, as a wrestler, I don't know, like, it was weird. Like, I tried training years ago, and I went to like a school in the Middlesbrough area, and it was fine, but like, it just, I don't know, it gave me like the wrong impression of wrestling. Like, they tried to put me on a show after like 2 sessions, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? Whereas I think, like, I don't know, like, I don't know if it was North or somewhere like that, but like, I think when I'm in a wrestling ring, I feel comfortable, and there was just a time when that clicked, and I can't remember when it was, but I remember having a discussion with Rampage about it, where I was like, he said like, oh, your stuff looks better now, and I was like, I just feel comfortable when I'm in there. I don't worry. It's weird. I worry about getting hurt outside of wrestling. Like, but when I'm in the ring, I'm just like, I'm fairly in control of what's going on, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was probably a moment at North or something where like I was like, yeah, I love pro wrestling. And then I had that weird thing where like I wrestled Rampage in Leeds, and it's one of the few matches where like I walked back through the curtain and I kind of went, that was good. And I never do that.
Yeah.
It never happens to me. So I normally hate someone, but like being there with like a guy who's my best mate and like proper beat the absolute crap into each other, and have everyone get the story, like watch the story as well, and kind of understand what we're doing. And then I kind of got in the back, and James Dixon was like, that was good. And I was like, you know what, I think that might have been good. Like, and he was like, oh, for God, these guys are the worst. And then I think Rampage came stumbling in like a couple minutes later, and he's like, that was good. And he's like, it was all right. And he's like, oh, God, these guys are the worst. Like, I think that for me is like one of my happiest. Like, I've got that, and I've got the Liam Slater match as well. And that Liam Slater match at North was one of those few moments where, like, I think Liam hit me with something big. I kicked out, and I heard them go. I heard the crowd, and I kind of thought, yeah, I've got them. Like, and that was like one of the few moments where I like went, I think I get wrestling psychology. I think.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I can do this. But yeah, it was cool. And there's been loads of little bits in between, like stepping out of the Barlands for me was massive.
Oh, that would be unreal.
And that didn't play out the way like my ICW run wasn't very good because obviously stuff happened and the tag partner left. But like for me, I paid money to go see ICW as a fan, and for me, for Dallas and Renfrew at the time to be like, right, we're going to put this guy in the Barlands. Like I like to think the roster knows like how much I was like, this I shouldn't be here. But like that, and then being able to put on my bits and wrestle in the ballroom in Camden as well. So there's all these little bits where like I have little wake up calls where I'm like, yeah, I love professional wrestling. Every now and then, like I hate it most of the time. It's one of those things where like you as a wrestler you hate it. Like I hate it, but like I do love it. But it's like it's a love hate kind of relationship the whole way through. But there's those little bits in my career where I've kind of like sat that night and gone like, that was cool. Like that was pretty sweet. Like you get to wrestle like someone who's like your absolute mentor, or you get to wrestle somewhere where you would have paid to go see a wrestling show. Like it's pretty cool. Like so. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm just a fat Irish guy with a good promo. Like, why am I in the ballroom? What's going on here?
So, just because you mentioned obviously the ballroom there, last question: are there any places or opponents or stuff you still got on your bucket list, like just any promotions or wrestlers that you still have to tick off?
It's a weird one because I'd written like years ago. Rampage had asked me to write like a couple of goals. It's all he does at the school with people, and like he was like, "Oh, like give me like a 6-month goal, a 12-month goal, and a 5-year goal." And I think mine was like 6 months. I wanted to be featured on like the NGW Proving Grounds. 12 months. I wanted to. I think it was something daft. Like it was like wanted main event the show. And 5-year goal then was I wanted to be flown in somewhere to wrestle. Not flying myself in, but I wanted like a company to be like, right, well, we need this guy and we're going to fly him in. And then I did them all in like 3 years, and I just got crap. What do I do now? So
now you're like super strong style. We're getting it.
Yeah, and it's just like now I don't really have those goals anymore because there's guys that I'd love to work with. I see their stuff and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'd love to do something with that person. So
any names so I can start hounding them on Twitter.
I've never done anything with Whippy. And I like Whippy was what got me into ICW.
Yeah. It's class.
And when I was there, a lot of the guys were super nice to me, but he went out of his way to sit and like spend time with me and talk to me about like my promos and about wrestling in general. And like he didn't. The cool thing about Whippy is he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And he just like I think he came up with Rampage on the All-Star team and stuff like that. and I think he gets what I do in wrestling. And he's always been like, every now and again we'll exchange messages on Twitter about, like, he's got a trainee called I can never pronounce his name. It's Xero, I think. But he's Inhuman is his name. Is Zero Inhuman or something. He's got this guy, and he does these promos, and we'll always talk about this kid's promos, and they're amazing. So yeah, Whoopi, I always wanted to do something with Whoopi, whether it was tag with him or wrestle against him or do something. I've been lucky that I've worked with Rampage and I've worked with Screwface Ahmed. But yeah, like there's loads of people, like in terms of like bigger names, like guys like PCO. My list is super weird.
Oh no, like, I am 100% on board with that idea, because
PCO. There's a guy called Vincent from Ring of Honor.
The Horror King.
Yeah, and like I think and it's another thing where like we'll exchange messages on Twitter or Instagram. We'll have look. He'll put a video up and I'll send him a message about it. I'll put a video up. He'll do the same. And it's one of those things where like eventually something will line up and maybe we'll get to do something. And then guys like Sammy Callahan, and like I got lucky that I got to have a match with Jimmy just before he went, because Jimmy was always on my list, because the Jimmy and Osprey thing. Progress was kind of what got me into UK wrestling again.
Yeah,
it got me to kind of sit up and go, oh wow, this is awesome. And then other people, like kind of I've done little bits of them, like Renfrew. I was a massive Renfrew fan. And again, another guy who took time out of his day to just sit and talk to me about wrestling, and Jester as well. It's like
I want to try to get
weird.
Jester in here.
At the minute, I'm looking at Mad Kurt and thinking, right, I'm going to have to wrestle Mad Kurt at some stage.
I'm not even being funny. Mad Kurt is probably my favourite thing kicking about right now.
Because it
was stuff, all the stuff with Minoru Suzuki first, and then all the stuff with Eddie Kingston, and it's so good, because like I watched like Curtis Chapman, and I'll kind of watch the character sort of like go from like just change into what it is now, and he's got the cape, and he's got it's so ridiculous, but I think he's probably my favourite guy kicking about the scene right now.
Oh, he's great, man. It's like I think there's a load of guys like that in the UK as well that I'd love to do stuff with. Like I love Gene Money.
I love Gene Money.
I absolutely love Dario Diablo. And I think nobody really sees who he is, which is weird. But like guys like that, and then I love doing stuff with Adam Maxted. Like I've been looking up to wrestling a couple of times, and like we had a proper old school kind of brawl at Hull City Hall. And like there's loads of guys like that I just love to. With me, it's weird. Like I don't necessarily think about like wrestling them. I think about like the promo I can do on them, and I'm like, oh man.
Now that you've said Mad Kurt, I just want to see that, like the build for that, and just how that goes, because
I think when he got announced for North, like a couple of people thought like, oh, it's going to be Rory and Mad Kurt.
I love that.
And
I would love that so
it was
much.
nice to see him at North, because I know North has wanted to get him for a while. And I think he's great. Like, well, the stuff he's done, like he's just done a great job of like. And it goes to like, Brandon stuff. It just goes to show you that like wrestling's not all.
Yeah.
It is a variety show, so there is space on the card for a Mad Kurt and like a Rory. Like I know, not every card wants a Rory Coyle, which is fine. But like, there's no reason why you can't have that. You can't have like the Grados on there. You can't have the Mad Kurts on there. The Gene Money's on there, and then you've got like the Rampages and the Zack Sabre Juniors and the Will Ospreys. And it's like, I think that recent Rev Pro show that
that looked unreal. That looked incredible.
Like, the feedback on that is like it was like the perfect mixture of everything.
Because I seen Shah saying it's the best like indie show he's ever seen in person, or like
and Shreddy was there, and he was texting me on the night saying like this show's unbelievable. He's like this show's got everything. And like I think maybe that's the cool thing about Matt Kurt, is like he sticks out. He sticks out in the crowd now. But yeah, like I've wrestled No Fun Gun, but I've never wrestled the Anti-Fun Police.
I love love the anti-fun police.
And I just wonder what would happen if I wrestled the anti-fun police.
So you mentioned all those names, all the like Mad Kurt, Gene Money, AFP. Would you go to Schadenfreude and Friends if asked?
Yeah, like I don't think it's weird. I don't know if I'm the guy's type of thing. Because obviously it is their friends.
Yeah.
And Brooks is another guy that's always been super nice to me. Now it doesn't have to be, but he's always been like super upfront, super nice to me, and the rest of the guys have as well. It's like I think if I went there, it would be much more like the Wrestleverse version of Rory Coyle.
It would be like
a straight up.
Because you kind of need to look at Schadenfreude as its own wee
a
pocket
little bubble.
Because did you see the show last night? Did you see anything from that?
I saw footage of a battle royale
with all inflatables.
Inflatable characters, I think. I think that's what I was looking at.
I seen someone on Twitter was sort of documenting everything, and they had like inflatable Minoru Suzuki, inflatable Mark Davis, there was an inflatable dinosaur that walked out to Kid Lycos's music, and then inflatable Kid Lycos walked out to the dinosaur's music. There was inflatable El Phantasmo, which was just El Phantasmo carried to the ring, and then he was put down, and then he just started punting inflatables. And then there was someone in a shark suit, a big inflatable shark costume, and that was the shark that Shad and Friends have jumped. And then that was revealed to be Aaliyah James, and she won the thing. And that was And then there was the 1 minute time limit gauntlet match against Brooks.
Oh yeah, the Chris Brooks thing.
And then also on the show, because I love like with all these shows, you've got like such dumb stuff. Like because on the Battle Royale show, Tyler Bate pulled Davis's heart out through his chest. But on that same show, you had Kyle and Zack Sabre Jr. And then last night, you had Kyle and Eddie Kingston wrestling in a shoot fight to the death. It was called.
And I think that's like an example. Like the guys have obviously captured some of them.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And those guys are like really, really clever. Like really good brand themselves. Like really, and they can wrestle like as well. Like
one of those things, I really want to go.
Those guys, you see them on a Red Pro show. They wrestle.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see them kind of have that outlet where you can be a bit daft. And I think for me recently, that's kind of been the Wrestleverse stuff.
Am I right in saying you're wrestling a bear at Wrestleverse, or have I pulled that out of my backside?
So the bear's my mate.
Oh, right. Obviously.
Chuck Wood is afraid of bears, so I brought a bear to a wrestling show. I'll not swear, but he's known as the effing bear. Which again is just this weird organic thing because I swear. I called him the effing bear, but now like on all the graphics and on the run sheet backstage, he's known as the effing bear. So yeah, Chuck Wood wrestled the bear. The bear won. Chuck believes that I'm not a responsible bear owner. So on the next Wrestleverse show, which is like the bank holiday weekend in May, me and Chuck are gonna wrestle for the custody of the bear in a bear on a pole match.
Yes, I am. Is the bear going to be on a pole, or is it going to be like Judy Bagwell on a pole where the bear's on a forklift?
I don't know. I was like, that's for them to figure out. But that was like, I had North against Eddie Kingston, where I had like loads of fun, and it was a hard hitting match, and it was like everything in there looked real because it was real, and like, we were hitting each other, and like it was, to me, that was my style, kind of summed up. A little bit of hardcore and stuff, and a bit of a story. And then the next weekend, I got to do Wrestleverse, where I got to basically do pantomime, and it was cool to have that total difference in my character. And like I love both of them, but for totally different reasons.
Because it's like
the Wrestleverse stuff is really cool. It's super fun. Like, and everyone's different, which is good. Like, so.
Because the thing is, as well, like, you do need that sort of, because I think the other night, like, when I watch wrestling, I would just sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll get the network up, or I'll get New Japan World up, or I'll get like an old Defiant thing up, and I'll watch like my go-tos. But then sometimes I'm like, I just want something different, so I'll put on like, are you familiar with old wrestling over in America?
No, what is it?
It's old wrestling, OLDE, and it's like set in Prohibition.
I'm in.
And Ricky Shane Page is a judge, but he's also on the take, and he's like drinking hooch. But so he I think I can't remember what it was, but he got hurt. But the thing is, he wanted, because it's like such panto, he was like, I need to get pushed out. I need to get pushed out in a wheelchair, and the wheelchair got over huge. So I think he's had 2 matches in a wheelchair, and that like he was saying he was like in the school trying to learn how to like kind of run the ropes in a wheelchair, like do clotheslines whilst in a wheelchair. It's ridiculous. It's great. It's up on IWTV, so it's worth checking out.
That's what's so like. I think that's what's so good is like we did the bear thing, and we was like, this could either go very well or very badly. And then the bear is like the biggest character on the show. Everyone loves this bear. So yeah, it is like, I think that's what I like about it is like you need to treat it like, to me, you need to treat wrestling like movies.
Yeah,
like, and I think someone saw the funny thing that happens then is like once we do the Wrestleverse show, the next day, loads of people will say like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in wrestling, and then you get the other side where like people are just like, this is not professional wrestling, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Because I'm very much in the camp of, it's wrestling, calm down, it's not that deep. If someone...
Yeah, and it's like, I think some guy had said like, this is disrespectful to all the guys that put their life on the line to wrestle bears. So I was like, I want to
see like Brody and the bear, Stan Hansen and the bear.
Like, mate, this is what those guys did is disrespectful to bears, like, because they declawed the bears and they cut their tendons and stuff. I was like, I'm not even going to bite this time. But it was like when I did the fire thing, I set Benji's ass on fire. And the next day, like, people were like, this is not professional wrestling. I was like, really? Because Jerry Lawler is a very well-respected wrestler, and this is an homage to Jerry Lawler.
Jerry Lawler was wrestling Andy Kaufman. Like, it's I don't
and
get
it's
some
just
people.
like, I think I treat it like movies. Like, I can go see 1917 in the cinema, and it's straight up serious, and it's a movie, and I will take it on board as being a serious movie. Then I can go see a comedy.
Yeah,
and it's just like, they're still the same medium.
Exactly.
But they're different subgenres in the medium. I think for me, I know, like, my personal opinion is like wrestling can kind of have that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I prefer like stuff with stories, and like I do prefer hard hitting wrestling. But like you're saying, like every now and then I'm like, you know what, I mean, I just want to watch a comedy match. Like every now and then I need something like a little palate cleanser.
Because you do get burnt out. Because I was watching the most recent NXT Takeover, and it's probably because I was watching it late at night, but I couldn't sleep and I was watching it. And I love NXT Takeovers with all my heart. But it was just after the third match would have been the Finn Balor Johnny Gargano. I was watching that and I was like, I just kind of need something to so then I put on Old Wrestling, and I've still not finished Takeover because I watched a couple of old shows and I was like, oh, it's 3 a.m, I've got college, bed. But
yeah, it's that weird thing where like I think you do need that. You do need just something to break it up, like, because I watched that Takeover as well, and like some of the stuff was so good. But I like by the time I got to the end, I was getting fatigued. I was like, man, I can't watch, I can't react to really good wrestling anymore because I've seen so much really good wrestling.
It's like it's a bit like on the one hand, I'm like, I'm so grateful that it is just a show of like 5-6 incredible matches. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, look at WWE. You know, maybe not intentionally, but they throw a stinker in there, and then when you have a good match, you're like, oh, I've had my rest because I've had to sit through like the 400th like 3-minute Cesaro match, which sucks because Cesaro's the best.
Yeah, it's like, it's just, I think, and that's, it got back to like what I said about the live show booking with Defiant and stuff like that. It just needs those ebbs and flows. Like even if it's just something like a promo segment, it's just something to break it up a little bit. But I do often kind of have to watch like pay-per-views in two bits, and I don't know if it's because like when I watch wrestling now, I kind of like I'll seek out something that I want to watch. So like James Dixon from Wrestle Talk just gave me like a Terry Funk DVD, and it's like, right, well, I'll watch this because I want to seek out like something, or I'll watch like old Dunk matches and stuff like that. But like now when I sit down to watch like a live show, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be a slog. So like when fans can digest that much wrestling, I'm like, man, fair play to these, because like I don't have that endurance anymore. Maybe it's just because I'm old, or maybe just because I've been hitting the head loads.
All right, well, I'll wrap it up here now. Thank you very much for coming on for a very long chat. It's been class. Do you have anything to plug?
No, just, well, if anybody wants to watch my stuff for like all my social media is like Rory Wrestler. I started up a Patreon now. It's like patreon.com/Rory Coyle, where I do like extra stuff that I don't do on my other social media. So like I've got like weird unboxing videos, and I've got the podcast and stuff like that. And just like people should just support any indie wrestling. So wherever their local promotion is, just go buy a ticket to that and take a punt on it and try it. And, like give money to the UK scene, and that's it really. I just want to plug the boys. Obviously, if anyone's interested in training, the only place I recommend is NGW Northeast School, which is run by Rampage Brown, and I think you can go to rampagetraining.com. It's almost like I'm a little spokesperson.
Yeah, I'll leave all the links for this in the description anyway. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. All my social media links as well will be in the description. This has been it for... Sorry, I'm just getting sort of told that someone's coming in the studio next, so I'm kind of having to wrap it up dead quick. This has been all for the second episode even of BritWres is Dead and Coyle. Thank you very much to Rory for coming on. All the links for everyone's socials will be in the description, and I'll see you next time.